What's up, everybody? Happy Friday. Um, it's probably going to be a short one today. I'm actually in a chill, relaxed mood. So whenever I get in those moods, I kind of like to enjoy it. So I'm always like wanting to do something and get stuff done. So it's very rare that I have moments where I just want to relax. So even in some of my relaxed state, or even in my wanting to be relaxed, I still have to feel like I got a good discussion in before I can go relax. So hopefully today we get some good discussions in, or at least one. I think usually we can get one. So welcome back, everybody. Yes, it is weird that debating helps me go to chill and relax, but that's just the truth about me. And I love discussing things with people and just tossing ideas around with kind people. It's always been fun to me. So let's see what happens. If not, like I said, I'll take the excuse to go relax. There's a couple games I want to play that are on the Steam summer sale. So if you haven't checked that out, Steam has a good little sale going on. I've been playing a game called Manor Lords. There's another game I want to pick up called Bellwright. I think that's what it is. So like I'm kind of in my simulation type game genre, I guess. So, but yeah, there's Steam has its summer sale, so it's not too bad. So our topic today, or our man of the hour, is going to be about Jesus today. I got a few topics that I would like to discuss with anyone, ranging from my favorite topic, which is the missing years of Jesus. I always thought it was the strangest thing that the most important figure in history uh, is missing so many years of their life. And then when they finally came on the stage, or sorry, when Jesus finally came on the stage, it was for like 3 years or like 3 or 4 years or whatever it was. And that's it. Boom, poof, gone, never to be seen again. Yet it is the most important figure in all human history. It's kind of always an amazing thing to me. Another subject, uh, well, this kind of ties into it. It's like the missing years of Jesus. The missing years of Jesus would be age 12 to 30, right? Which is a long time period and one of the most important time periods in a human's life. So if Jesus was supposed to come teach us how to live, I think those should have been included. Even though I don't agree with this, I could maybe get someone saying, it doesn't matter what Jesus was doing from age 7 to backwards, but I think it doesn't. Everything matters. What Jesus was doing, no matter what age, it all would matter. So that's one topic I wouldn't mind discussing. Um, like a childhood mystery one I'm seeing here. Why does the Bible give almost no details? Right. That's going from the other age where I was saying from like age 7 to, they do talk about Jesus' birth. So I guess year 1, right? Virgin birth, that's a whole nother thing. Uh, Obviously, there's 2 different birth stories. So there's a few. We don't have to go down the whole list, but we can anybody to chat about those. Do they acknowledge? I don't think you'll find any Christians that would say out loud now, at least that. I don't know. Nobody thinks Jesus is white. That'd be silly. I don't know. There might be some weirdo out there that, but I would say deep down inside, they know Jesus wasn't white. So I'm going to say no one thinks Jesus is white. Not like it even matters, by the way, but it matters because of how it was used in history. Don't get me wrong. But if we're just talking about the character, it's truly irrelevant, which makes it even dumber that, well, we know why people made it up. Let's just be fair on that. Yeah, we know why they did it. It's still stupid. You guys let me know how your Friday's going. I know Buck said he's at work. Buck's always working. What you do, Buck? You get to watch some streams and work. It's a nice job, right? I assume so, right? I don't I don't get to watch streams, but I watch videos. Well, I guess if people were streaming on YouTube, I would be able to watch it. So never mind. So do that as well. Let's see what else is going on. New video will be out today. I did a little later time today because I wasn't sure how long I'd be streaming, and usually the videos are out at 11. So I was like, let's just push it to like 1 o'clock because I don't plan on streaming past 1 o'clock. Yeah, hopefully not an air traffic controller. That's fair. Jesus was white. He was an actual man. Oh boy. You're at a warehouse. I won't even entertain that one unless you come up to the stage, by the way. All right. You did make me laugh though, so if you were getting a laugh, you got it. Well done. What is what are you guys' plans for this weekend? Anybody going anywhere special? Last week I think we had some concerts going on. What are y'all doing this weekend? When's the fourth, by the way? I don't like how Windows doesn't have the calendar at the bottom right anymore. Don't you have to like click something weird now? Still have a little thing, you just hover over it. Oh, you have another concert tomorrow. Nice. You should just be able to hover at the bottom and then a little calendar would pop up. Rough, man. Right. All right. The fourth is Saturday. Okay. Got a little while. Not this Saturday, but next one. All right. I could have swore I have that on my. I thought I put that on my list. Let me make sure that, and if I don't, I'll let you know, and then I'll get it on my list now. But I have a pretty long watch later list because I try to take everybody's suggestions, but at the same time, if I tell you I'm going to watch something, I want to be in the mode to watch it. So if I don't see it, I don't have it. So that is Brocken Spectre. Spectre. All right, let me look. Yeah, Brocken Spectre phenomenon. That sound about right? Something about some lakes. It says spectoral, Brocken, Spectre, and Lake districts. Let me know if that's what we're talking about. It's weird the things, and like I can get it both ways on this because our our brains and eyes can be tricked so easily. It's kind of sucks, but I like these kind of things. I look at these things. I have never seen one that made me believe it was real, but I've seen some interesting ones. So I'll drop this on my. I'll probably watch this when I'm relaxing. Honestly, that'd be a good one, I think. So yeah, thanks for that. Sorry, do I have a video for tomorrow? I can't even think about it. Can't remember. I might just have some stream highlights for tomorrow's videos. I think I'll have one that I want to work on that's gonna take a little more effort. So in between those, it's hard to make uh, some of the other videos that I be popping out. And then sometimes you get tired because I'll be watching just a bunch of debate videos, just seeing spots where I think something's missing and that more explanation needs to be had or more thought needs to be had. Like when you're watching a debate or something, and it's just like, why didn't they continue in this spot? Right? Those are the videos I kind of look for. It's one of those things where you're kind of like yelling at the screen, right? You're like, you should have said this, or oh, that. And then sometimes you learn yourself. I think a lot of the times you learn yourself when you're watching other people share their ideas and battle each other intellectually. So I find them interesting. I know it's super nerdy thing, but I do find it interesting. I'm sure I get on my wife's nerves with a lot of those debate videos all the time. So wouldn't be surprised. I keep saying I need to have some like game to play or some crap. Uh, national debate competition. No, I've never sat and watched debates. I'm not going to say real debates because I've watched formal debates that have to do with politics or religion. And I'm not sure if like the national debate competition is in that same format or not. I guess that's my question. I don't know if it is. If you ever seen a formal like religious debate, like with like Matt Dillahunty or somebody, right? Those. Okay, yeah, very structured. I don't know. I mean, if there is, uh, if it's just for like points or something, then probably I would never watch those kind of things. Uh, but if it's two people really getting to share their ideas, then I would watch it for sure. But I don't know why when you said that, I'm imagining like some little buzzer competition. It's like, and then you got to say the answer or something. I don't know why. That's the first thing I'm imagining when you said that. But that can't be what you're talking about. There's no way you would have said that. But my brain is just automatically going to that. Yeah, I'm sure that's silly, stupid. Yeah, modern day debate. I know they do pretty well. They do allow everybody, and I mean everybody, because they have some crazy debates on modern day debate, and it's not strict moderation, but it's a little tier up there from just somebody calling on your Discord or calling on the line. Obviously, I think you get more clickbaity stuff with just random people calling in, but if you're really trying to have a conversation with somebody, then that structure will be worse. I what I really don't like, even though I mean you don't have a choice, just because that's just kind of how the debate arena is a lot of the times watching those. I don't feel like anyone's really listening, and to me that's like a little unfortunate, but it does feel like that, like no one's listening. don't get me wrong, some ideas are just, you got to knock down some ideas. I'm not saying just let anyone get away with saying anything, but I, s- I would like to allow people to at least finish their thoughts. That's all. And I'm not always perfect at that too, because it's very hard to, it's, when you're discussing with somebody, you want, as soon as something comes to your head, you want to say it not out of disrespect, but it's just because there's like, oh, no, wait, or oh, I got this, or oh, I just thought of this. And that can kind of deter things sometimes or distract from, or make it look like you're not listening, but you really are. So I get it. Da, 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 da. Wonder what's for dinner tonight. Yeah, you can always tell when somebody's really listening though, because yeah, I mean, if it's just so obvious. If I say something and you're jumping to some other subjects, most likely you didn't listen. Uh, I've always tried to, because even while I'm listening to you, I am thinking of what I'm going to say back, which will distract a little bit from listening. That's just part of the process. But that's why I think it's always good when you first start responding is to repeat what you heard, and in a very short way. Not, I hate the ones where they have to like ask the question like, "Oh, is this what you're saying?" Blah 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 blah. That, but to a point. Some people can exaggerate that, and then it makes the other person even forget, and then now both people are forgetting. So I do like to give like a short, okay, from my understanding, blah blah blah, this, or something like that. But just making it quicker, and then that avoids a lot of the frustration, because it can get really frustrating when you know you had a point, but you have to allow the other person to speak, and then they get off track because now your brain's jumping back and forth, and you can see that in a lot of debates when it gets just super chaotic. And that's, to me, that's just the domino effect of like, once it happens once, it takes somebody to slow it down. And of course, that's probably what you're talking about by a moderator. So yeah, makes sense. Long story short, I actually never did YouTube stuff in the summer, so I just wonder if summer gets slow. I mean, obviously, if you're like a super big channel, it doesn't matter. I guess with you guys, what is the most interesting Jesus topic for you guys? Do we already have one in here? Even if you're a believer, is there like a Jesus a part of Jesus' story that you actually still question, or you have some questions about? Like that'd be interesting too. Like, do people admit where they're kind of shaky in their faith? I think that's always a step up. You should be questioning it anyway, right? It's like, you I always thought the virgin birth was weird, and also like, even as a like younger child, I was, it's like, wait, how they know? How they know she was a virgin? Excuse me. And this is before I knew all the medical stuff of how hard it is to even determine what the hell that means. It's not as cut as dry as some would say. So I still thought that, like, as a younger adult, I should say, not a child, but younger adult. It's just like, wait, how they know? She could have just lied, right? And then it's like, there's no proof that this person didn't lie. What's more likely? She lied about being a virgin, or she actually had a virgin birth. One of those is more likely. Just saying. Yeah, I've heard that debate too on the consent part. I know there's some verses where people say like they use it as consent. Let me see. So we're asking if Mary gave God consent to get pregnant. Yeah, I know there's some verses. Did I tell you guys I got my internet upgraded? I don't even know if that even I can notice the difference because I already had pretty good internet. All right, so we got Luke 1 or sorry, yeah, Luke 1:30 through 31. Fear not, Mary, and behold, thou shalt conceive in thy womb and bring forth a son, and shalt call his name Jesus. Even though that's not supposed to be the name, the Messiah wasn't supposed to name Jesus. Uh, yeah, the angel just does not ask Mary at all. It just says, "You shall conceive." Hmm. And then, of course, Mary says she's never been with a man. And then the Holy Ghost shall come upon thee. Yep, I'm not seeing it. All right, so this is the line that they would say. Behold, the handmaid of the Lord, be it unto me according to thy word. So I could see people saying that's consent. So that's a hard to tackle. But I would also like to throw in there, if the most powerful being is telling you you're going to do something, that's kind of tough to say no. But just as a rebuttal to myself, there are stories in the Bible where people tell God no. So it's not like Mary couldn't have said no. Maybe she would have got swallowed into a volcano instead of a whale. I don't know, but I could see that would be considered consent. But is it consent with a gun to your head? Now, I would say that might be the case as well. Because just because you submit to somebody because you're scared, that does not mean, you know, that's not fair. That's not a real choice. And we've talked about that plenty of times. It's not really a choice, even though, okay, there are some outliers. So there's a lot of stories in the Bible where I'm like, could the person said no? Could it have happened any other way? Right? No, because it needed to be that way for the story. We talked about going back to Jesus. I mean, we are on Jesus. That's the subject. Jesus, why did Jesus ask God if this cup could be passed from him or whatever the word is? Like, he didn't want to die. That's weird. Like, that's really strange. Jesus was afraid to die. That's strange. And then, you're going to have your apologetics for that. That's the thing about that's the thing about this book, man. You have that out of a miracle or God, you not understanding God. There's literally always an out for any contradiction you find. Actually, it's more than his body, right? Matthew 26:38 through 39. My soul is exceedingly sorrowful, even unto death. Oh, my Father, if it is possible, let this cup pass from me. That's more than just bodily fear, right? It's that his soul. It's a whole soul. Unless now we're saying that goes into the other part too. Yeah, Asa, you got it. There's always an out, man. Dual nature now, right? It just makes me laugh because there's always a made up answer. It's good. It's because God can do it. Like, that's the answer. God can do it. Just put something there because God can do it. God can be 100% of two things at once. Like, be 100%. And not 100%. Like, some people try to play this thing like, well, can't you be 100% a dad and 100%, I don't know, a worker over here? Like, but yeah, we're talking about two different damn categories here. I might explain that a little bit wrong. He said it in order for those to hear it. But the weird thing is, why do you never read in between the lines to show that the Bible's wrong? Because you could, like, if I did that, right? If I was just reading in between the lines and twisting something in the way that I wanted, I think people would be calling me out. But if I twist the words to fit the story, that no longer is twisting the words. That is just reading the context. So it's always interesting to me how that works. I don't mind the interpretation. I just don't think the same standard is used, and people aren't as crucial when they're critiquing their own stuff. It's like when I watch those Muslim versus Christian videos, and they're just sitting there debating with each other, and they're able to notice the contradictions and the quick thinking the other party's doing when they're defending their belief, right? But as soon as they go back to prove what's in their book, they all of a sudden forget the same strategy that they just used to prove somebody wrong. Yeah, I mean, back then, for sure, a woman's consent was irrelevant. Yeah. That matches the story, by the way. Even if you pretended with me about it being a made up story, it still makes sense that the women had no consent because that's what was thought back then. Women were property. So it makes sense in that. Excuse me. It makes sense in one way. It doesn't make sense in another way. But I'll be told to read between the lines so I can make it make sense in the way that is less likely plausible. And I think that's where the interpretations are becoming dishonest. Like, the most likely scenario is this was written by a bunch of bigoted men that thought women were property and needed a story about Jesus. And there it is. That is more likely. Now, that does not say Jesus didn't exist or not, because Jesus, in my scenario, Jesus still exists, and the story now makes sense. In the other scenario, Jesus still exists, but now the story is just this implausible, now I need magic story. My story doesn't need magic. My story makes sense. And that's the difference between the two narratives. Is that I don't take anything out that doesn't need to be taken out. I use the story that makes sense. That's why I said Jesus still could have been a real person. The likelihood of the virgin birth there's more evidence for it there not being a virgin birth than there is. It's just the fact that we were taught, and some of you were told, taught, whatever, same as me, that Jesus had to be born from a virgin. And as soon as that's told, there you go. So that's, yeah. So most likely story is that, and they weren't even bigots back then because that was just how people were. They are bigots to us, and I condemn everything they did, but I didn't live back then either. I probably would have been an asshole back then too. So it's just like, I'm not even condemning their culture. It's just the fact that we act like that culture was so righteous and that this book was so righteous when they were doing very, very horrible things according to our culture. So why do we use this for anything? Like, it doesn't make any sense. It's kind of nasty if you really think about it. Creepy, man. Until proof comes along, by the way. There's plenty of things in the Bible that we thought were just stories, and we found evidence for them. Most of it's like architecture, and we found some people, right? I was talking to a buddy of mine where we're talking about Pontius Pilate. Like, we find certain things in the Bible that are true. We don't need to add anything to it. Let's just keep searching. There's maybe no way ever to prove that Jesus, no, you can't prove it. There's no way ever to prove that Jesus was born of a virgin. So just wipe that off our list completely. Like, it doesn't need to be spoken about. Like, there's no way of proving it. So I don't know. I guess we could probably talk about if God's separate from things or not, because there's certain points in the Bible where it seems that God is definitely separate, right? But like I said, there's always an out. So if I go to the Garden of Eden, this isn't about Jesus. I mean, some people say Jesus was there too, but anyways, why is God asking Adam where he is, right? If God is always there, why is God asking Adam where he is? Now go ahead and do your apologetic for it. You know, it's just always going to be one. But still, God was separate though, right? Like, so even if it's the serpent pretending to be God, where was God? Just watching? I mean, Jesus didn't have a problem with slavery either, so I guess the big Nick is right on point. Guess he's a Jesus man. God got cut off by the angels' rebellion. He was busy. God was a little bit too busy. So they did the little bait and switch on God, right? They distracted God over here, and that way the devil, the snake, the serpent could go in the garden and trick Adam and Eve. Kind of tricky, trying to tricky, kind of tricky. All right. Yeah, I'm surprised we've been going for like 40 minutes. I thought this was going to be really short. Still ain't got nobody to step up, but I kind of enjoy when we have these little conversations. The three dudes that tricked Abraham, was Abraham supposed to kill Isaac? Is that what you're saying? One is that one of the angels? Nope. Oh, that's nope, that's satanic. I guess I'm so confused by that conversation going on, but I'm just gonna put a little thinking emoji right there. If you want to defend slavery, I mean, you can come up to the. I'll talk to you. I guess this is about Jesus. I can tie slavery into Jesus if you want. That's what we're doing. But anyways, that's interesting. I feel like I haven't read the whole conversation, but when you're trying to lead down, or like when you're trying to lead somebody down a path, when you're asking questions about whatever y'all are debating, there's a more professional way of doing it. That's all I can say. Because technically, what's supposed to happen is you're not supposed to be trying to trick them. You are supposed to be. They're supposed to be know. They're supposed to know the answers and not be able to stop you from continuing them down the path too. By the way, but if your questions are just blatantly looking like they're trickery, it doesn't work as well. Yeah, I'll let you finish hearing what I've said because I think there's a delay. So I don't think you would have said your response if you heard the rest. Because it has nothing to do with understanding. Or maybe you should rewind and listen again because it wasn't about whether somebody understood or not. But hey, man, each their own, each their own. I'm just giving a suggestion. I said it just depends on what your goal is. If your goal is to just prove yourself right, then the conversation is going to sound totally different. but just like we discussed about different types of debates, right? So different types of debates where somebody has to be declared a winner. To me, those are obviously going to look one way. And then you have your debates where you're just discussing things. Those are going to sound another way. And then you have like your more angry debates, I would say, where everybody's just putting their foot into the sand and digging in, which makes you, which makes both sides not want to answer questions, by the way, because it's like, well, if I give ground here, you're never going to give ground. So now I'm just not going to answer your question. And then it turns into this annoying back and forth. And I'm not saying that's not, I don't know what's going on with you guys. I don't read all of the chat. But is what it is. So, oh, y'all talking about cattle, or sorry, cattle and shadow? I'm gonna let y'all discuss it out. I'm kind of interested in where this goes. You guys should step up into the stage since you guys are having this good conversation. We are supposed to thank the animal. Hey man, I try to not waste food because I do feel bad for the damn animals, man. I hate that we have to eat, but I also the type of person I'll say, I bet you if the lion had opposable thumbs, they would have built a machine to just get all those damn gazelles. Like if a lion could do it, they would have did it too. So unfortunately, we have the brains and the capabilities of building technology, but I think all animals would have done the same thing. Like if octopus could, I don't know, they're smart as hell too. I think they set traps and things like that. So it's just like it is what it is. We're animals too. So it sucks. That's all I can say. It sucks for the people that are, it sucks for the not us, but we're animals too. It's more proof that we're not, we're not from some all powerful being, probably. Or that all powerful being just wanted us to live in this hell, right? Because technically, uh, nature is hellish, man. Nature is hellish. Nature is ruthless. Nature will eat your ass and not even care, by the way. Nature just eats you up and just keep going, doesn't even notice. Man, like growing up down south and just seeing floods and shit, like nature don't care, man. Water don't stop because you sad. Like water don't stop because you scared. You know what I mean? Tornado don't stop just because you think you're special. I mean, I know y'all get what I'm saying. Y'all make sure to click your buttons. We ain't got a lot of people today, so we need to make sure we hit those buttons. Once again, video coming out a little later. I think like 1 o'clock. Probably be on here like 15 more minutes. I've enjoyed the little small discussions though. And I'll probably, oh no, I don't stream tomorrow. Next stream will be Monday. I'll probably just be able to knock out a lot of videos. I mean, we still got a little bit. I'm not leaving just yet, but sounds like you guys are having a little nice conversation. Yeah, sometimes the likes don't match up, but we'll see. See if we get some people in here before. That's how it gets extended. This is what happens every time. Like I'm about to get off, and then somebody jumps on, and then I'm here for like another 2 hours. Kind of how it goes. But like I said, I enjoy these little quick chats, small discussions, and we went through a couple of the things. I mean, you guys are on this slavery topic right now, but I don't get why. Hey, what's up? Why we can't just talk about slavery? Like there doesn't have to be these weird metaphors, weird angles. Like legit, just talk about slavery in the Bible. That's it. That's, if that's the discussion, let that be the discussion. Just talk about the book. There's no need for anything else. We have a book that talks about the slavery. We don't have to make up any scenarios here. Literally talk about the book and you guys, and that'll be it. Well, sure. So say you say it's under a, I am saying that you're not being, I'm saying we don't need to make up any other stories. Like what reasoning, what other discussion do you need to have besides the slavery in the Bible? Because I guarantee you, Channel Guides is talking about slavery in the Bible, comparing it to slavery nowadays. It seems like those slaveries were very similar. And if you would not have liked to been one of the have been one of the slaves, you would consider it bad. Like that's how I look at it. So if we're trying to, I don't get what else is there to discuss. Yeah, I mean, it could be made up too. I mean, there still was slavery back then. And we know the slavery in modern times was bad. Some people still think it wasn't bad. Uh, I know the slavery in the Bible was bad because God freed his people from slavery and then told him told them they could do bad slavery to other people, but not bad slavery to themselves. So yeah, we could talk about it depends if you think God stopped. Here's how I would tackle that. So since God stopped the Egyptian slavery over Israelites, over the Israelites, I would say God should have stopped the other slavery too. If the Bible never had God stopping any forms of slavery, then I might not say that. But the Bible does say that God stopped slavery before. So, yep, God should have stopped it. Yeah, that's I always forget that story. Would I ever eat a dog? Like ever? Am I am I on a desert island and I'm running out of food? There's no fish in the sea. I I don't think I would eat a dog burger because I wasn't brought up in that culture. I could see people eating dogs. I, it's hard to like when you're not brought up in a culture. I think I just say no, but I can imagine being brought up in a culture where people eat dogs. There's a book of Eli. Like, say the world ended, man. Uh, the Discord link is right here. All right. Let me get you. Wait, well, let me move you. I don't know why it won't let me move you, bro. I see you in the. It's weird. You only can join that backstage. You can't do the stage one, but I have to be able to move you. But for some reason, I couldn't move this person. Like if you could click that link, it should take you to where. Da, 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 da. Yeah, I don't know why I can't move you. But yeah, I mean, casual's a weird thing, and I think you're not really comparing. I don't know if we're comparing the same things correctly. Yeah, probably. I'll be honest. When you're reading somebody's, I guarantee you, whatever you're saying would sound better in voice. That's all I can say. Yeah, I saw you coming in, channel guides, but if you click this link, it'll put you to the room that I usually will put people in, and then I think I can move you after that. But here's the weird thing about I don't even know what we're defending and what we're not defending. Like, if the question is, should God have stopped slavery, then I would just like to hear why you think God doesn't have to stop slavery, right? Because obviously, I would think God needed to stop slavery. And if I'm missing the idea, that's why I said sometimes having debates over text don't work well. I'm against slavery because unnecessary harm. I don't know. I don't know if it has like anything to do with everyone being equal. I don't want to be a slave. So it is just in my selfish nature to protect other people from being slaves as well. I can be the most selfish person in the world and still say I don't want slavery. I don't want it to happen to me. No, cows do not. They're not slaves. Cows do not want to be food. Cows are worse than slaves. They're food. Nothing wants to be food. Just like, I mean, I assume. I don't know. I don't think. I think all animals would know what being food is. I don't know if all animals would know what being slave is. So, like, I'm just assuming all animals have the intellect to know that they don't want to get eaten, right? So I don't know. Yes, that is bad. I don't get your point. Yes, what we do to cows and animals is very bad. That is 100% true. But I don't get how that gets God out of stopping slavery. No, I'm not okay with it. It's just that we eat food. We eat. If there was a way for us not to have to eat, I wouldn't. Like, I'm politically against those kind of things for sure. No, I eat burgers. I did a vegan for a whole year for a buddy of mine. You're missing the point. So this is why, and this is why I let you finish because you were saying I didn't understand, but I wanted you to actually hear how your point is pointless, right? So now I want you to go back through all of what you said and realize one thing. The problem when you compare God to human beings is that you forget that God is all powerful. That's the only thing that matters, right? God is all powerful. And that's why I kept saying, if I could, I wouldn't. If I uh, could stop all the corporate cow farming, I would, and it still allow everybody to be fed, I would. If I was God, I would stop all of these problems. Like I would. God does not do it. That is the whole point. It doesn't matter all this philosophical, logical stuff we're trying to do. God isn't logical either way because God is all powerful, still doesn't stop shit. Like God doesn't do anything. So it's just like, when you're comparing God to me, of course I'm a evil human being, remember? According to the book, I'm already an evil human being, so of course I'm going to eat meat. Of course I'm going to eat that hamburger. But God doesn't have to make anything this way. I'm not God. So it's like, that's why I said some of this stuff is silly. So, right. So now we're like the conversation you were trying to have to me, it has nothing to do with this. It has to do with what that you think anything God does is correct, right? That's what you're really talking about. You think anything God does is correct, which means since God did not outlaw meat, that means it's not evil. So now you're what you're really talking about, whether it, I mean, you're really talking about that God is just all good. And now we would discuss what good really means and why you think God is all good. So the whole subjects that you were just discussing, I don't feel like it's the real subject you want to have, which is why it sounds so damn confusing. Hey, I've offered you to come up and say something, by the way. I've already said many times that you keep saying I don't get your point. I've offered you to come up here and say your point. It might be quicker, by the way. So, but if your point is God can't do anything wrong, then that's a whole different conversation from would I eat meat and would I be a hypocrite eating meat and then saying that God should have stopped this? Why don't I stop uh, cattle slavery? Right? Like these are two different subjects. Okay, so fine. If I'm totally wrong about your point, then just say it. I don't know. Just type it or come up here and say it. That's all I can say. And I'm being so sincere here, man. Like either just say it. Like obviously we're lost. Then if I'm not we're obviously I'm lost. So just help me out here, bro. I guess, man. I don't know, but just say it. Like it's okay to just say it. Okay, so far I'm with you. Keep going. Okay, I'm still with you. Keep going. Okay, it would be unethical. Yes, there's definitely people without capability of reasoning. I don't know about told, but I'm always a type of person that says we need to incentivize people to do the right things. All right. So now that you laid out your argument, what was the original question? Well, yes. I mean, we have yes, but here's the difference, right? Are you guys not talking about God? If you're not talking about God, then this is just an actual conversation about human ethics. And I say human ethics, I actually mean animals ethics. I think we're animals, or we are animals. So it's just like that's different. Like if God isn't in this picture, then yeah, we have a whole different discussion. That's totally different. If God's in the picture, I think the discussion is different. The original question was why God did not stop slavery. So you are saying, let me know if I'm wrong. I think I'm with you. You are saying that, wait, hold on. No, that can't be it. That can't be it. Okay, so if the original question was, I'm not even going to say what I was going to say. That can't be it. So the original question was, why didn't God stop slavery? Now tie that back for me. Before I want to allow you to wrap this up. So tie what you just said back to how that answers on why God did not stop slavery. I think that's it. Go. Like I said, this would be much faster if you were on the microphone, by the way. Now tie it to God, please. Because remember, if we're talking about people, it's different. If we add God to the scenario, it changes everything. So now wrap that up with God included. So, okay. So wait, we agree. God doesn't think slavery is evil. Yes, I agree with you. Like 100% agree with you that God does not think slavery is evil. No, I agree with the big Nick here. God does. That's why God doesn't ban slavery. He doesn't think it's evil. Duh. Is that what this was about? Yeah, you're talking about racism, slavery. Yeah, I get it. That's all in the Bible. You are correct, sir. God is racist. God is not humble. God is sexist. God is all of these things. Yeah, you're right. I agree with you. God is not a good character. According to our standards, by the way. Even our hypocritical standards, I'm gonna roll with you here. All humans are hypocrites. God is still bad according to these hypocrites. Yes, but um, you would now have to prove that, like, if by your terms, like reasoning, right? That the slaves don't reason, or sorry, the slaves reason just as much as all the cows. Is that what you're saying? Those slaves reason just as much as the cows. That's is that what I'm hearing? So the slaves, it's not slavers. Yeah, it's not unethical to have the slaves because you think they were inferior like the cows. Cows make terrible slaves. All they do is eat. I like that, bro. This is like a weird subject because I feel like we're assuming that, like, okay, here's a question for you, Big Nick. Why did God care so much about fabrics being different fabrics being intertwined together? Like, why is that a no-no and then slavery isn't? Since we're going down this path, we might as well go down this path. This still ties to Jesus because Jesus didn't condemn slavery either. So obey your masters. Nope. Your whole argument's destroyed. If you say the Old Testament is, wait, did you say false? Yeah, if you say the Old Testament has some not truth stuff in it, then New Testament is also destroyed. Argument gone. The Bible no longer exists for you. You're making up your own religion, which is fine. Also, everybody makes up their own religion, really. But if you're saying the Old Testament is wrong, New Testament is wrong also. Yeah, but if the Old Testament, I'm assuming you think predicts Jesus Christ as well too, right? Because other than that, then how did Jesus Christ fulfill any prophecies, right? How would they have known he was the Messiah? I don't think he actually finished many prophecies at all, if any. But how were they supposed to know? Right? So we need the Old Testament to have Jesus Christ. Right, but if Christ is referencing the Old Testament, you're telling me that Christ is referencing a fallible book. Right, but what if the moral law in the Old Testament was also fallible? According to you, anything in the Old Testament can be fallible. Why would I trust any of it? And if Jesus is referencing something that is uh fallible, not infallible, sorry, fallible, then why are we trusting Jesus now? He's citing something that you yourself said is corrupt. uh God is jealous. Does Jesus ever say God's jealous? Right, but you're picking and choosing which parts of the Old Testament you want. I mean, what does that do for you? Like the fact that you just pick what you like out of the Old Testament that lines up to what you. There's no caller at the moment. This is literally me arguing with chat. And hold on, what did you say about God is not jealous? That's a weird one. Do you really think God's not jealous? I don't think I've ever heard like a true Christian say God isn't jealous. I don't know. I would like to talk to you, man. I think I've earned to talk to you. You should come on up and have a chat. Because here's the thing. So you're literally throwing like here's the unfair part. Like even if we're going to have a discussion, you're being a little bit unfair because I can't say anything out of the Old Testament which speaks of God the most and describes God the most. And like I have some verses where Jesus says we should only worship God, and to me that's because God is jealous, right? But there's a whole lot of verses we can go back into the Old Testament. But if you're saying I can't use the Old Testament because you've made your own Bible up, that's tough, bro. Like, why is God only wanting me to worship God? Or, sorry, yeah, why is God only wanting me to worship God if God is not jealous? And I think we might be able to find some Jesus verses where Jesus shows that he's not the greatest character either. Like, there's a lot of verses where Jesus was mean. Well, I mean, I know some of you guys are saying God is jealous. I think that's obvious. I've never heard someone say God is not jealous. So it's actually throwing me for a little loop here. I mean, it's a different perspective that I've never heard. Let's take a poll. All right, let's see. Um, you like to compare humans to God. Can you tell me the scenario where you're saying that anybody that rejects love should be horribly punished like that? Since you since we were tying it back in the human scenarios, let's do that. So, what human situation would you think it's okay to go and harm somebody else because they don't love you back? They don't love you back, or they reject your love. When should you be able to go harm somebody? So, what should be the consequence of my son not wanting my love? What should I do? Yeah, consequence. What's the consequence? because to me there is no consequence. He cannot love me, and guess what? I still will do what I can for him. So I don't know. I'm better than God. No, no, like I get what you're saying. You're saying God does not stop loving us. I think you're saying that. You're saying we choose to not love God, and there's consequences for not loving God. I am saying, even if my son stopped loving me right now, I would never abandon him. Like it would be okay. He doesn't have to hang out with me. I would still not abandon him though. I don't see my dad all the time either. He could still get stuff from me is my point. Like he would if I could take like here's the thing, if I could take care of my son, I would just take care of my son. This is why this God analogy does not work for me because I must be more loving than God is because if I can do it, I will do it. And like remember I said if I can do it, like say he never calls me, but I can do it. Man, get out of here with this Jesus white lamb stuff, bro. My son would never have to crawl back to me doing anything. He doesn't have to worship me. I have a responsibility, and that's it. That's why the God character just doesn't work, bro. Unless it's a bad character. You can't be all loving and let people suffer. It just doesn't work. There's no way around it. Here's my solution to the God problem that many Christians won't like. Uh, the real solution is if there was an all loving, all powerful, all knowing being, there is only one thing that would happen. And this is my hot take. Can you guys guess what would happen if there was an all loving, all powerful, all knowing being? Let's see. Who can guess it in the chat? There's only one solution to this problem. Let me see if you guys know it. Can we guess it? Who can guess it? It's an easy answer. It's one word. No, it's even better than being in heaven. There's one word. Nothing would happen. Nothing. And somebody said peace, right? And I've always equated peace to nothing, right? That's why we're like rest in peace because you don't have to go deal with shit anymore because nothing is peace. Nothing is nothing is nothing, right? So if there's an all powerful, all loving, all knowing being, that's it. There's nothing that would happen. Like that's it. So once again, God defeated. Any experience is going to uh, have these problems that we have. Obviously, eternity with God is not peace. God wasn't even at peace according to the story. If God was at peace, God would have never created anything. The fact that God needed to create things to worship it shows that God was not at peace. Pretty easy equation. God definitely needs us. Otherwise, God would not crave our worship. I think you just skipped over the whole creation part, guys. You before you jump to God needs us, or sorry, before you jump to God doesn't need us, you now have to explain why God made us at all. So before we move on, explain why God needs to create and make it make sense to everything else we've said. Don't lose the topic here. God needs nothing. That's where you started at. Now let's build from that. If God needs nothing, why does God create? That's the first one. And we weren't even the first creations, right? God created everything else first. Why did God do all of that and God needs nothing? Let's start there. And we won't move past until we get a good answer. Now, you can't say we yet. Like, you have to start with God needs nothing. What is the next step? Right after God needs nothing. You can't bring us into the picture. I'm putting you guys in a thought box here. You don't get to talk about people yet. He did not create people first. Why does God need to create? There's not even a garden yet. Yes, but here's the thing, Big Nick. You are literally sitting here telling me a whole story about why God did all of these other things. But then when I hit you with a hard question, you say, questions are never answered fully. But you just sat here for about 20 minutes giving me all the answers in the world. But now, oh, the answer's not everything. Come on, bro. This literally, our whole conversation has been about questions. And then now you're saying me why? Like, why is a bad question? Come on, man. But I'm saying, don't give me the we can't comprehend, but you've comprehended all the way up to this point. And then when you get in a tough spot, because uh, there is no answer for you saying that God needs nothing and then still makes something. That there is no answer for that. And instead of admitting that, we have to like switch the subject or say that my asking why is stupid. That's not fair. That's all I gotta say. And that's and Big Nick, I don't think you're being dishonest, but I think that's the point where everybody gets dishonest, right? Like everybody wants to get dishonest right at those points in times. And but we know everything about God up until that point. And that's what troubles me a little bit. Because you were giving me the whys this whole way, by the way. I just wasn't asking you why, but you were giving me the whys the whole way. Why this happened? Why is this not evil? Why is this good? Why is this that? Why is this that? You were working with me the whole way. And then now when it comes to why God, oh, I don't know, but I can tell you how God thinks. I can tell you what God is. I can tell you all of these things. It's come on, man, be fair. Good wit, what's up? Just be fair with it, man. And like I said, it's one of those honest answers you can give, and it really doesn't do much. It just makes you think. Like you're still going to walk away from this conversation coping in any way that you need in order to keep believing what you believe, but you can admit that It doesn't make sense that this being that you said needs nothing created anything. And then when I take out the fact that I say you can't use people because that's not even God's first creation, right? Which is a hint. Like, so it's just like, come on, man. That's so frustrating about these kind of conversations because I am honest, completely honest, all the way up to wherever conversation you want to go, right? And then you get to switch to dishonesty and I can't do anything about it. That's frustrating. But I'm obligated to answer your questions. Like you sit there and like, you're not answering my question. You're not answering my question. And then when I finally ask you the question, you're like, oh, but if I did that to you, all of a sudden I wasn't understanding what you were trying to say, or if I couldn't keep up, too bad. But because you're telling me the mind of God the whole way. Every answer you had for God up to that point was you telling me why God was doing something. So don't pretend that you don't know the mind of God. You were pretending to know the mind of God this whole time. I don't like that is so unfair, dude. You were pretending to know God that whole time. And as soon as I ask you something, you do that to me. Like that is what dishonesty is. And like I said, I'm cool with these discussions, but don't pretend that you weren't being dishonest. Yes, you using scripture to say what God thinks is saying what God thinks. Like you have to admit that to me, man. Like at least admit that for me, bro. Like you interpreting scripture is you saying that you can determine what God thinks. Can I at least get that out of you, please? Please? I shouldn't have to beg for it, but can I at least get that out of you? So you can understand what my point is? And this is what happens with most religious people I speak to is that when you have an answer, you speak for God. When you don't have an answer, you can't speak for God because you're not allowed to. And I get it. Like, if I'm asking you a question, of course you're going to have an answer for it, but you would not say that God is sitting here speaking to you right now. And then if you did, we would have another discussion because now you'd be able to prove it. If God is speaking to you right now, hop up on this stage and prove it so everybody can see God and you can change the world. But other than that, all you are doing is using the words that somebody else wrote that said they were speaking for God, by the way, and then telling you that this is God's word and you're just believing those people. So, and did I get you to admit it? Or are you just going to skip over that? Can you admit that reading scripture and interpreting scripture is saying that you can know what God thinks? You're still not answering my question, or maybe you're answering other people's stuff, but at least answer my question too. If I can get you to admit that, I think we made some progress. No motivation or motivus. Remember, we started with this. We can't move past this. The question is, being God that doesn't need anything, what happens the moment after God needs nothing? All right, that is the question. Don't skip to anywhere else right now. Human beings do not exist in this scenario. We have a God that needs nothing. What happens to make God do anything after that point? Because what does needing nothing mean? All right, Big Nick, you're just ignoring my question. So now I feel bad that I sat here and answered and played your game, but you won't play mine. That's literally what dishonesty would be, brother. You said you weren't being dishonest, but completely ignoring what I'm saying and not giving me an answer is what the dishonesty is. But it was a good discussion while it lasted. I already explained why it's dishonest. I answered every question you had. You ignored my one question. I let you walk me down like you wanted, and you ignored my one walk down. That's dishonesty. Like, why won't you answer me? Okay, so, but I asked you a second question. The next question was, can you admit that you were speaking for God this whole time by using scripture? Because you already admitted that some of the scriptures are not from God because you said they're fallible. Remember, I'm going down this whole line of discussion. So we have scriptures that are infallible, are fallible. Jesus had to come to fix the scriptures, correct? Like, walk with me here. So you are speaking for God this whole time, even if you believe it's from God or not. God is not saying it to you right now, which means you're interpreting something that somebody else interpreted, that somebody else got from somebody that said they spoke to Jesus. That is your standard. Yet you said that in this very book, there is fallible stuff. So, with all of that, you are saying that it's not 100% true, which means some of it you might be wrong and you might be speaking for God. And now it comes into this. It's funny the things that you will pick that you are for sure right on, and then the things that you don't know for sure, and then the things that you just are, yeah, actually the things that you just say you don't know. It always seems that you don't know the things, or most people, not you directly. Most people don't know the things that would hurt their beliefs. You missed my point. What I said, how do you know that those words are from Jesus? You missed my whole point. Jesus never wrote it down. Jesus never wrote down anything. Okay, so then we would have to prove that reading scripture is what God said. And Goodwit, you didn't say this, so but this is for Big Nick. Big Nick says that the Old Testament is fallible. So now that means parts of the book can be wrong. Goodwit, I don't know how you feel about it. If you think the whole Bible is true, then me and you would have a different discussion. That's why it's better for people to come on the stage and just talk. That way I don't have to have multiple conversations. I'm able to keep up, but I have to have multiple conversations. Faith does not require truth. I'm sorry, truth does not require faith. Once you have the truth and once you just know it, you don't need the faith. Hey, good. If you say I'm not God, then let's stop speaking for God. That's all I'm saying. I'll take that. I'll take that. If you can't speak for God, let's stop pretending that I'm sorry. If you're not God, let's stop pretending to speak for God. That's an honest answer, Motivate. We can only guess. And that's all I'm saying. We are sitting here guessing while not even having proof that this thing is real, by the way. I'm just pretending that it's real because I'm okay with that sometimes. It's just like, even if we are granting that it's real, we have no proof of this thing speaking to us. And we are more likely incorrect about any interpretation that we have of this being that might exist. I started this live to make people be honest about this. I feel like there's not enough Christians that are brave enough to be honest or even allowed to be honest. And this is something that just needs to be learned for future generations. like, because I don't think you can control what you believe, but you can be honest about you might have a stupid belief. And I think things can go much further when people start being honest about this shit. And if proof comes along, proof comes along. But until then, my Christians out there, you got to admit that you don't have any proof. You're not going to get struck by lightning, I promise. It won't happen. You can just be honest, because here's the thing anyway. You can't even lie if God is real. You can't lie to God anyway, so why the hell are you? And I'm not saying y'all are lying specifically, but I know I know there's plenty of Christians that have way more doubt than they're willing to admit because they're scared that it might open the door to the devil. I've heard this myself. Like they don't even want to deal with it because they don't want to open the door to the devil. I mean, this has nothing to do with rejecting God or not. I think you're just not listening to me. We would have to determine if I don't think me and you have the same definition of free will. I'm pretty sure. Or I think I am more strict if there is free will. My free will is real free will. Your free will is whatever God desires happens, which is not free will. Welsh Wings. I do not believe in God, but I am a historian and do think Jesus was real. Josephus, I always forget that name. Tacitus, and I can't remember say the other name. I'll mention him. Um, I've been looking into the Josephus one. That's like one damn sentence about people worshiping a Christ, right? Tacitus. Um, I know they mention. Yeah, which one's Tacitus? Let me see. I always forget Tacitus. Tacitus Jesus. But I have no problem with Jesus was real though. I just look into the stuff. Like I've never doubted that Jesus was real, that lived. So it's still interesting to look into though. But like I said, if proof came along somehow that Jesus wasn't real, I'll switch my thoughts. But I've never not thought Jesus was real. All right, Tacitus was a Roman historian writing in the early second century. In Annals 1544, while talking with Nero, blaming Christians after the Great Fire. Oh yeah, the Great Fire. Okay. Tacitus says Christus was executed, or Christus. Yeah, that's right, Pontius Pilate. I thought that was that one. Yep. But here's the thing, Weeping Spirit, like it doesn't even matter whether Jesus was real or not. I don't think that's not even a big deal. It's more about if the story is true. Yeah. Yeah, we already went over the Josephus. I don't think the Josephus one is as good as the Tacitus one. Tacitus literally says the dude was executed, so that's the better one. Now, I wonder, it says during the reign of Tiberius. Is that actually accurate? Anyways, it doesn't even matter because, like I said, Jesus could be real. We still have no proof of virgin births. Let's go down our list again because I think we got distracted. I had a list here of all the Jesus stuff. All right. We have the missing years of Jesus, right? Why was this why was Jesus so important, but we only got from age 30 until he died? I mean, we got a few stories at age 12, right? We already went over the virgin birth. We got the two different birth stories, which I never heard a good reasoning behind this one. Like Matthew says, Matthew has the wise men, Herod in Egypt. Luke has shepherds, census, and then the Nazareth, right? So where the hell was Jesus really born? I think we already went over the Jesus praying to God. I think we did that already. I think the excuse that everybody gives for the Jesus speaking to God or praying to God is, I don't think it's that strong, but the whole, that was his human side, I guess. All right, so what are we talking about? What are we talking about? I also like to ask you guys, why do you believe in the story of Jesus and not um, like the Hindu story of Krishna or any other religion that's out there? Why is that? Big Nick, why you always got this weird, bro? Just tell me which. Why are you being trickery, man? Just answer. Like if you believe in both, just say it. Welsh wings. Then they can't talk. The nativity fascinates me. Herod the Great and uh Quirinius were 10 years apart, although in against heresies in 200 AD mentions Luke meant the governor was, let me type this stuff in here. Like you got a lot there. I like to look up this stuff. Can I copy paste your stuff? Nice. Thanks for the super chats. All right. Let me get my notepad out. I like to take notes because I look up this stuff later too. All right, let's see what we got. This is one of the biggest problems with the nativity story. All right. The Saturnius argument is from, I can't say all these names. Uh, see. Oh, it's about the census. Okay. Historical proof of census in Judah under Centenus Saturnius, while Luke names. Oh, yeah, they have two different people. They always have two different people, man. The core problem, Matthew places Jesus' birth during the reign of Herod the Great. Matthew 2:1. Let's put that verse up. All right, Matthew 2:1. Sorry, can't get it. A little small. All right, and then we got Luke. All right, we got Matthew 2:1. I hate KJV. Why does it always give me KJV? Now, when Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea in the days of Herod the king. But Luke, look what Luke says. And this taxing was first made when Cyrenius was governor of Syria. So, and there's a big difference too. So the Herod the Great is usually dated and dying in 4 BCE, while the famous census was in 6 CE. So we got a 10-year gap. But there's always going to be answers for that, man. It's very. Here's the problem, guys. Uh, the problem. The problem is when you have these, like, God, I don't know how to say it. You can't be as honest as you would want to be. That's the unfortunate part about this. Like, if we were talking about Harry Potter or some shit like that, and there was no feelings attached, I think the honesty level would shoot skyrocket high. But the fact that if you don't believe some of this stuff, literally your soul will burn in hell, I actually don't know how honest people could be. So, like I said, like the question is there. Let's put another poll up. There's really no answer for this one, but let's see. %20 says Jesus isn't jealous. I don't know about that, guys. I don't know. Honestly, it's kind of a trick question. It's not really a question. I know how you're gonna put it. Too much trouble. But any contradiction, unfortunately, especially a contradiction that has to do with Jesus, you will not be allowed to say is an actual contradiction. And that's probably the problem. All right, what's next? What we got next? You guys are discussing Jesus's power. All right, give me a moment. Get some out of my eye. I'm gonna take a break real fast. We'll probably be about 30 more minutes. So I'll be right back. Bum, 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 bum. All right. All right. Looks like you guys are still on the subject of Jesus. So that's cool. So now we're talking about Jesus's travels. Here's the thing that's interesting to me on that one. I'll just give my little 5 cents here. Is if the story told Jesus traveling around the world, the Christians would say, see, that's awesome. Only a real God or only an all loving God would travel across the world. But because the story doesn't show that, it's like, what do you expect? What do you expect him to do? Come on, bro. I'm walking here. So I don't know. It's one of those things. There's another subject about, uh, can't remember what it was, but it's the same concept to where, oh yeah, it was about slavery. I was watching, I don't know who it was. Maybe it's Dan McClellan or somebody. I don't know. It's like a debate where the person brought up a very good point because it was like the slavery. Oh yeah, so slavery compared to slavery from before the Bible, right? Where the Hammurabi Code had, I believe it was 3 years. And then, of course, you have the 6 years in the Hebrew Bible. And they were making reasons on why the 6 years was actually better. But the atheist guy brought up a good point. He was like, oh, well, of course you say that. But if the Bible had said 3 years, you would have said, look how morally better the Bible is compared to Hammurabi's code. I believe that's was the subject. So I think that's what's going on here. The fact that Jesus didn't do something or God doesn't do something, that has to be the best that could have been done. So you now have to make what you normally would consider the most effort into the least effort or just an excuse of why not. So that's something interesting to think about because I think we do that. Just take out the Bible for a second. I think we all do that with certain beliefs. If you want to believe something so badly, you will cope and do these things. It's just, if you can pause for a second and realizing you're doing it, it's actually a very eye-opening thing. Like, just ask yourself, if the opposite had happened, would that still prove my belief? Right? And then you can see if you're truly being honest. But if either side, you would still believe the same thing, you aren't being that honest. And that's a little snippet from one of my video coming out today. So I think actually it's about to come out now, which was going to be my clue to shut it down. But let me see. I need you guys to get my video hyped up. And I am getting a little tired. So yeah, the word of God, if active and listening, you got to make some proofs of that. Got to prove it, man. Anybody can just say something. Some people that say let's see, I don't know many guys. Not gonna lie, there's a lot of gods out there, and if you can just make a statement, so could they. So how do I distinguish between the truths, right? But like I said before, not bad. It was fun having a little chat with you guys. We didn't have anybody brave enough to step up and chat, but hey, you guys go watch my video. Go check it out. Keep helping the channel grow. We are growing. So I appreciate you guys. I think this will still be our next subject the next time, because we didn't get to hit all the Jesus stuff that I wanted to hit. There's a lot of stuff I wanted to hit, and we didn't have anybody brave enough, but hopefully next time you guys will do that. As always, I'm Jay. Don't forget to throw away your feelings, open your minds, and question your beliefs. I'll see you guys Monday. Peace.